Hello everyone, my name is Suzanne and I'm a gardening and cut flower enthusiast in Devon in the UK. This week's video's got a few little projects in it. One of the projects is actually something I did last weekend because we had a lovely bank holiday weekend last weekend, so it meant I could get on with extra gardening jobs. So that's a little recycling project out the front of my house using some tyres as planters. So I've got a few clips of that. I actually haven't finished that project because part of that job was also a bit of weeding and tidying up, but I'll take you around today and show you where I got to. I had every intention of finishing it last weekend, but in list of priorities with gardening, it comes a little bit lower down the list, if you like. Then I've also got an unboxing of a delivery that I actually had completely forgotten about, so that was very exciting for me. It was a bit like Christmas. And then I've got to go through my seed packets because they're a complete mess, because I know I've got some seeds which, I mean, to be honest, they probably won't germinate, but I know I've got a load of zinnias which I've got some trays of compost here ready. I'm just going to sow them because I haven't really got anything to lose. I'm going to sow the whole packets because they're quite old. And if they germinate, they germinate, and if they don't, they're thrown away. But I really need to just go through the seed and sort that out. So let's go and get on with the video.
It is very windy, so I'm going to shout and hope that you can hear me. If not, I'll just have to add what I'm saying on afterwards. Today's project is all about recycling. The front of my house is right on the road. And in the past we've had lorries pull in and knock our guttering off, and we've also had smashes in our windows from stones flying up and hitting the windows. So what I did a few years ago was I went to a tyre fitting garage, and I asked them for the tyres that were no good anymore. And I stacked them two on top of each other, painted them with this absolutely fantastic spray paint, which I got on Amazon, where many things can be bought, and it actually specified it was good on rubber, and it has lasted It's lasted really well on the tyres. These tyres have been there at least 5 years, but they've now got to the point where they need repainting. And unfortunately, I cannot find a paint now that says it will paint rubber. I can find paints that say they're rubber paints, but that's not what I want. So what I'm doing is hoping that this paint that's already on the rubber will act as a primer. And I'm just using the Ronseal garden paint, which is available in loads of different colours. And I'm using the willow because this is an old tin which I had from painting my ponds and painting other things in the garden. So that's what I'm using. And I'm giving the tyres a repaint. But also, I don't know if you remember, you can just see where my where my fingers are, the box there. So I had pots inside the tyres which were all planted with box, but obviously you can only keep a shrub like that in a pot for X amount of years, and then it's never going to do very well because it's depleted all the nutrient in the pot, and the roots have completely come to the edge of the pot, and there's only a certain size pot that I can fit in the tyres. So I've taken the box out, and we're going to plant with some heathers. And I've got summer and winter flowering heathers, so that hopefully one of them will be flowering, so we'll have some colour in there all year. They're tiny, tiny little heathers at the moment, so this is going to be having to be a bit patient. But the plan is to get these tyres painted. I went out and I got some peat-free ericaceous compost, which was actually quite difficult. The first garden centre I went to, they had loads of peat-free compost, but just not the ericaceous. So I said no, and I went, and it was actually one of the RHS garden centres where they had a peat-free compost. So we've got that as well. So the idea is to get these tyres painted, get the heathers potted up, and have a bit of bank holiday fun, tidying up the front of the house. There's a bit of weeding out there to do and things like that. So let's go and get on. I had to go out and buy another tin of paint, and I couldn't believe how expensive it was. A bit of a shock, but at least I do use it for other areas in the garden. I've got 10 tyres to paint, so this isn't all of them, so I'll have to go and get the others in a minute. So what I've been doing with them, and we'll start when we go and get the other ones in, is I'm just giving them a brush with a really hard brush first. I didn't want to get them wet because then I'd have to wait for them to dry as well. So I'm just giving them a brush with a really hard brush. The reason I'm not just putting pots in front of my house on the side of the road is because you'd be surprised how many times cars drive into them. So the rubber tyres protect the pots, protect the plants, although I have once had the whole thing tipped over before, because just when cars are passing each other, they pull right in and knock them. So the tyres are a protection more than anything. And I thought of the idea, really, when you go to little go-kart racing rings, that's what they use around the edges as tyre, because they're safe if somebody hits them, not going to cause an accident. And they're not going to get broken, so that's why we're using tyres. Right, so I've got my new tin of paint, which I just need to stir. So I'll give that a good stir. You can't see it, but this is a plastic pot for the new one. You can tell that's a bit newer. So same colour. I think it was just under £30 in the UK, and that's for 2.5 litres. On the tin it says 2 to 3 coats for the best protection. I won't be doing 3 coats because I want to paint my pond and things like that again as well. So I use this for that. Right, let's get the brush and give that a clean. Do you want to waste any? Whoa. Well, you don't want to watch me paint 10 tyres, so I'll get them painted and then I'll come back to you when I'm finished. Interestingly, the new paint, which is exactly the same paint as the Ronseal Garden Shades, I don't think is covering as well as their old one. It is interesting to see how products change the way they make things. So that one definitely would need more coats. Whereas the one I use with the older paint, you reckon you could almost get away with 1 coat, but definitely would need more coats on the others. Anyway, better carry on. Okay, so I finished painting the tyres, so now we just need to do the pots of heathers. Okay, so these are my teeny tiny heathers. They're just soaking in a bucket of water. So this is one of the summer flowering ones, and then these are the winter flowering ones, and it's just so that you have colour all year. So you can see they're very teeny tiny, but they will grow. Heathers make really nice sized plant eventually. So we're going to leave those soaking, and we're going to have a look at the pots they're going to go into. This is the peat-free compost that I've got. Okay, let's have a look at the pots. These are 3 of the 5 pots. The reason I've only got 3 is because 2 of them have actually still got box in, and I can't decide whether to take them out or not. So I'm going to do 3 for now, and then I can always come back to the others on another day. So these pots just fit really nicely into the tyres. So they just fit in like that, which is perfect. So the pots are really big and the heathers are really small. So it's going to be years before they need compost in this whole pot. So you can put crocks in. I'm going to put in another pot upside down, because then as the heathers grow bigger in years to come, I can take them out and I'll be able to add some more compost in there, and they'll be able to stay in the pot for a few more years, because for now this will be plenty of compost. So we'll go ahead and we'll put the peat-free compost in here with that pot there. Okay, so I'm going to put 4 heathers in each pot, 2 summer flowering and 2 winter flowering. Okay, I'm just going to add a bit of potting grit as a top dressing. So this is all Mexican daisy, which is in the cracks all the way along the front of the house here. So what I do when I weed the cobbles in front is I tend to leave the little seedlings of the Mexican daisy. So try and get you to focus. So there's Mexican daisy there. I also leave forget-me-nots, but other things I tend to take up. So it just makes it look a bit cleaner. I don't use weed killer out here, so I do tend to just get down my hori and scrape it all out. Okay, so more Mexican daisy. And again, it's not too weedy. There are a few weeds. But then I haven't done over here. So here we can see there's forget-me-nots there, but because I haven't done over here, I don't like you. This is that willow herb stuff. I don't know why, I just don't like it. Lovely wild strawberries here, which I always leave. I don't generally get a looking because the birds have them, but we leave them there anyway. And this is still to do. Again, I've got other things I don't mind here. So this is self-heal. There's no flowers on it yet, but when it flowers it will have these sort of purple spikes. It's really nice for the bees and I really like it, so I leave that. Again, forget-me-not there. Lots more self-heal, forget-me-not. Got some bluebells there right in the middle, but I'll leave them. And then this is where I haven't weeded, you can tell. So got a thistle there. Lots of this willow herb coming up, dandelions, all sorts of weeds here. I'm probably not going to get to this today, in all honesty. I had every intention of doing it last weekend, but I didn't. Oh, and then this is my lavender here, which always does really well here. It's really dry. Got some toadflax there, some bluebells down the end, and then this rose is called Golden Showers, which will have some lovely yellow flowers very soon. I've just planted a load of my stock out in the EnviroMesh low tunnel, and the reason that's important is because it means I've now got some empty cell trays for potting on, because I've got lots of things that really need pricking out. I'm going to start with these Rebecca, but I've got various things that I need to pot on, and I reuse my cell trays, so I try not to use them as single-use plastic. But also I get given lots of pots from people, so lots of I've got an examples here. Yeah, like all these sorts of ones people give me, which is great. So I try not to use them as single-use plastic, try and keep using them again and again. So this is probably my job for the next hour. So I've got Rebecca, amaranth, pennycress, some sweet peas, which they have been being hardened off, but they just look really terrible all of a sudden. So I'm going to pop them onto I'm going to put those in some deeper individual pots with some fresh compost, and hopefully they'll feel a bit happier about that. Right, anyway, let me get on with that now. Look at that lovely roots on there. Okay, so that's some Sahara, and get another few trays out of there, which would be great because my nan loves colour in her garden, so I'd like to have enough to give her some. So all handy. Dad's just turned up and he said, "Oh, I've got a package for you," and it says it's plants. It says it's perishable goods, and I was like, I haven't ordered any plants. What are you talking about? And then he opened it up and it's Halls of Heaven. So it's my little Dahlia cuttings. And I don't know if you've ever had dahlias from Halls of Heaven before, but they are always fantastic for cuttings, the small plants. They're always packaged really well. They always have really good root systems on them, and I would highly recommend growing their Dahlia cuttings. So we're just going to very quickly put these. And look, they come with their own little tags as well, so you don't even have to use any of your own labels. So this one is Rycroft Blackberry. So I'm going to get these potted up right away because they've obviously been in transit. And you don't want to put them in too big a pot. You just want to put them in one where they can spread their roots on a little bit more. You don't want to overwhelm them. But honestly, they use the moss to keep them warm and keep them moist. And I'm just going to leave the moss in there. I didn't get them as early last year, I don't think. So to be honest, I wasn't expecting them until May. So pleasant surprise. I'm not actually going to water them. The compost is really moist, and they're still quite moist as well. They were probably given a really good water before they left Halls of Heaven. Okay, who have we got next? Oh, this is Amy Cave. Look how fantastic that is. Wow. Look at that. It's like Christmas, but they're so well wrapped, so well packaged. This is Jamanda. Do you like my compost scoop? Soup scoop. Actually works really well. And I've got an old washing up bowl. Nothing fancy here. Okay, who's next? Newland Josephine. Get your feet in there. Oh, the joy of something so simple. Culverton Christabel. I put pictures up on videos before about who they are, what they look like. Last year I think I even took cuttings of the cuttings. So we'll see if that is a possibility again. I don't think they got tubers in time though, but they still have flowers, so still worth doing. So how is that? That's 5.
There are 3 left and I've only got 2 pots, so I'll have to get another pot in a minute. This is, this one I've grown before. This is one of the only dahlias I replaced, Rosemary Dawn. I had to replace it, I used it so much. It's a really tiny ball, sort of orangey yellow. Really loved it. It's a shame that I lost it, but this year, well, it was the first year I'd lost my dahlias, so I'd be very unlucky to lose them all again. Okay, so I'm going to have to go and get another pot in a minute. And this is... oh. This is the one I can't pronounce. La Corbière. Do you know, I can't find very many pictures of this one online. And I'm not sure if this is one of those ones where it might not be the colour I think it's going to be, because I thought it was quite a pale, creamy colour, but I've got a feeling it might be a yellow. We'll see. Some of them it is difficult to gauge what colour they're actually going to be, especially because there aren't very many pictures of this one online. Okay, and the last one is Rycroft Jill. I'm going to have to find Rycroft Jill pot. Oh, she's a bit smaller than the others. She's a bit teeny tinier, so I'm going to take care of her. I'll find her a pot. I'm nearly out of compost as well. I'm using peat-free compost. Don't use peat. Definitely not watering them. They really are quite wet. Put that in my pocket. That was the instructions on what to do. Probably should have read that. And cardboard. There we go. In the compost as well. But I want the enclosed documents. Which I also will put in my pocket. There they are, my babies. Aha! We have just found the hole. Okay, so this is where he's coming into the greenhouse. So he's just dug right under there. So I'll fill that hole in. I have lifted all the plants up off the floor because I've done a lot of research about voles, and they're not very good climbers. So in theory, everything up here on the shelves should be okay. And with that in mind, what I've also done, this cold frame is abandoned until I can put a hard floor on it. So I had this old cold frame that I've had for ages kicking around. And I'm going on the advice that they're not very good climbers. And I've lifted this cold frame up off of the ground. So we will see how that works. And it just means in the morning before work, I can just quickly take the lid off that, uncover the tunnel, and then it's nice and quick. I don't have a lot of time in the mornings, so I need to be able to do everything as quickly as I can. So anyway, let's go and fill up that tunnel, and hopefully everything in the greenhouse will stay safe. I am an absolute seedaholic. and I expect a lot of you are as well, and I just don't know when to say no. These are ones that I've already bought for autumn sowing, so these are new seeds, so I know they don't really need sorting out, but I've just got packets and packets of seed that I mean, they used to all be in one tray in alphabetical order, but then as I sow them through the year, the whole thing just goes to pot. So things that I really know I need to sow because they're going to be really out of date. I mean, like I've got 2 seeds in that packet. I'm just going to direct sow them. It's a Korean mint. I'll just sow it in the cutting garden where the Korean mint is, because a few of them look a bit old and it will either germinate or it won't. So I'll do that today. But the main thing I was looking for was zinnias. See what I mean about being disorganised? They're not even in there. I'll have to edit this. Oh, hang on. I see zinnias. Okay, so I mean, let's look at the date on this. Oh, this does say sow by 2024, which surprises me because I bought these a long time ago. I'm going to sow them all anyway. This is whirligig. So we'll sow those today in a tray. I'm not going to sow those direct. I've never sown my zinnias direct. This is Early Wonder, and this one does say 2023, so definitely want to get those done. And this one is Jazz, and that one says 2022. So it'll be interesting actually when we see the germination on these. We're expecting Whirligig should do quite well, followed by Early Wonder, and then we're expecting Jazz to not do very well if we believe the dates. So drop them on the floor. So anyway, we'll sow those. Oh yeah, this is new seed. So this is for autumn sowing as well. I bought both the colours because this is the dark one, like reddy colour, which I do loads of times. This is the white. But that's for autumn sowing. Right, I'm not going to go through my seeds with you on the video, that'll just be boring. Let's sow these zinnias. If any of you want a video of me going through my seed, put it in the comments. But if it might just be to make yourself feel better, like you think you've got a seed problem, yeah, you might watch it and think, oh, actually, it's not so bad. Right, I'm just going to go ahead and get a watering can and pre-water these trays because they haven't been watered. Just trays of peat-free compost. I'll go and water them. Okay, so we'll do the Jazz first. And I'm going to cover them with some more compost in a minute. I'm just going to place them on the compost and then, yeah, I'll cover them over. So there's actually a reasonable amount in there. If all these germinate, I doubt I'll have enough places to plant them. But my nan really loves bright things in her garden, so some could definitely go that way. And I've got lots of friends who usually just buy plants, and I'm happy to give them extras. So, like I say, this seed packet, they're old seed now, so there's not a lot of point in storing these for another year. If I'm planting some of them with 2 in the same spot, I'm not that worried about that because I'm really not expecting them all to germinate. So, and you can always just thin out the ones that aren't so good. There. Okay, and then I'm just going to cover those over with some. I always go with the bigger the seed, the more I cover it. So some of the really small seeds, like a snapdragon, I barely cover at all, to be honest. There, right. So we just label those. I actually cleaned my labels this morning. Oh. But I can't find my... Oh, there it is. I couldn't find my pencil, but I found it. So Gosh, I don't know what the date is today. I think I'll have to date it later. Alright, so I'm not going to water that again because it's been watered. So that's that tray done. So now we'll see what we've got in another one. So let's have a look at Early Wonder then and see how many we've got in there. I must confess to not getting on particularly well with Zinnias. I did them the first 2 years. I tried them outside. Didn't really get on with them. So then I tried them in the greenhouse last year and they were much better, but I got green fly. So I'm going to try them in the tunnel this year, and then I would have covered all all ways of growing them. This could be the year, you never know. We're going for quantity, not quality. God, there's actually loads in this packet as well. But I'm sowing them all because I haven't had a lot of success, and I am thinking, you know, if I grow loads, then I can't go wrong. If we get loads of germination on this tray is going to be so full. I don't think zinnias like a lot of root disturbance, so that might be where I'm going wrong, because I do tend to prick them out. Maybe I should grow them a bit more like things like Nigella. Although I think one year I did grow them in loo rolls, with the idea being they wouldn't get pricked out, and then planted in the loo rolls, and they still weren't wonderful. I mean, I can grow them, they're just not the sort of zinnias you see on Instagram. Okay, I'll go ahead and do the other tray. Okay, and this one is Whirligig, which also feels like a really, really full packet. Gosh, this Mr. Fothergill's seed is really generous. This says enough for 75 plants, but I mean, I already sowed some of this, and it feels like there's still enough in there for 75 plants. Yeah, really generous, considering it's such big seed. Oh gosh, I put way too many there. Spread them out a bit. There we are. So label that one Whirligig. Zinnia. Okay. Okay, so someone even commented on one of my videos that I've got too many seedlings in my cold frames in my greenhouse, and they might be on something there. The reason I say that is because even though I keep taking things out of the greenhouse and making more supposed room in the greenhouse, there are then things that are ready to be pricked out, so they go into bigger pots and they take up the same amount of room even though I've thrown things out. So these zinnias are actually going to stay in the shed here, and you know I'm keen on recycling, I say. You'll like this. This is a very old ironing board. There it is. You wouldn't want to use it to iron your clothes, but this skylight here that runs the length of this shed is very narrow, and the ironing board fits exactly underneath it. Okay, so I'll put that under the skylight there, like so, and then I'm going to put my zinnia trays on there. And then I'm going to cover them with the humidity domes, and hopefully in here will be not too hot, not too cold, and enough light, and it should work really well. The only thing I want to get is a tray just to sit these on, so they're not just sat on the ironing board. But again, out of room in the greenhouse, pretty out of trays as well, so let's see what I can find. Okay, so there they are, all tucked up on my ironing board. Thanks very much for watching today's video, everyone. I'm off to clean pots now. I'm always envious of people who have pictures of their sheds and greenhouse, and they've got these piles of immaculately clean pots in the background, and I've just got a wheelbarrow full of ones that need washing, so that's what I'm going to do. And I won't wash them nowhere near as well as some people do either. I feel bad for that, but luckily I've never found the plants have suffered for it, but I just give them a really good hose out with the jet wash on the hose, and then stack them in the shed ready to use for pricking out very soon, hopefully, of some of those zinnias. See you next week, everyone. Bye.